All right, welcome back to the deep dive. So you gave us this stack of sources, and today we're skipping the usual.
Yes.
No quarterly reports, no ancient history.
No, not today.
We are going deep into the world of functional glass art. And we're focusing on just one piece, this singular creation that the sources call simply the lion that ruled the glass world.
We are, of course, talking about the King of Kings,
Yeah.
or silicate lion hookah masterpiece.
Exactly.
And this piece is, I mean, it's more than just valuable. It's a huge structural and aesthetic statement. For anyone new to this, when we talk about this kind of work, it's often called heady glass.
Right.
It's where the utility, in this case, a hookah, is merged completely with high concept sculpture. And the King of Kings, it didn't just meet the standard, it defined it.
So that's our mission today.
Yeah.
We're going to pull out the key nuggets here. The radical engineering, the insane artistic precision, and the cultural impact that just, boom, immediately got it classified as museum-grade functional.
Including that valuation, the rumored price tag.
Oh, yeah, that surprising valuation that sent ripples through the whole community. We're going to figure out the how and the why this thing became a modern legend.
And just to set the scene, you have to appreciate the scale of this.
It's massive.
It's huge. The documentation says it stands about 24 inches tall, 18 inches wide. I mean, that is an enormous piece of glass to work with. But what really gets me is the timeline. This wasn't some quick project.
Right.
The artist put nearly 3 years into planning, prep, and construction. 3 years. That's a career-defining kind of commitment.
3 years of planning. Just to manage the stability of something that big made of borosilicate glass. That tells you right away this is a collaboration of absolute specialists.
They had to be.
So let's unpack that. The architects behind this vision, the partnership that made it even possible. Okay, so our notes show that this is a team-up, a synergy between two giants in the glass world. First up, you've got Buck Glass. He's known for this huge, large-scale engineering, not just making big pieces, but building glass structures that basically defy gravity, almost architectural stuff.
For sure. And then you have Adam G., who is famously known as Sweater Kingpin. And his entire focus is the relentless pursuit of precision faceting.
A perfect match, then.
A perfect complementary dynamic, yeah. Buck provides the vision, the structural backbone, right? He manages the incredible sheetwork needed to shape a lion this size. And then Adam G. comes in with that meticulous finishing work.
The jewelry work.
Exactly, the precision faceting that turns this huge sculpture into something that looks like fine jewelry. The backstory says they spent nearly 3 years planning every single color pole, every detail of the cold work, down to the millimeter.
Okay, wait, let's pause on that.
Yeah.
We see cold work mentioned a lot in the sources. What exactly is that? Why is it so critical for a piece like this?
That's a vital distinction. So hot work is what you'd imagine, right? The glass is molten, you're shaping it with fire. Cold work is the opposite. It's the super precise cutting, grinding, and polishing of the glass after it's cooled down.
So that's Adam G's domain.
That is where his magic happens, yeah. It requires, diamond tools, incredible patience. It's how you get those perfectly sharp edges, those facets that are almost impossible to create with heat alone.
Okay, that makes the 3-year timeline make so much more sense. They weren't just in the flame for 3 years.
No, not at all.
They were planning the structure for months, then executing these super technical finishing cuts, all of this happening in Buck's Oregon studio, just pushing the material to its absolute limit.
Absolutely. And the challenge of using borosilicate on the scale, you just can't overstate it. Bore is durable, it's heat-resistant, think Pyrex, but trying to keep a 24-inch complex shape stable through dozens of heat cycles, it's a massive risk.
One wrong move and it's over.
Years of work gone.
Yeah.
And they even used a specific hand-mixed color for the body, North Starlight Yellow, which itself required incredible control to work with.
The sources have this great line that the genius here was realizing this wasn't just a statue, it was sculpture with lungs.
I love that.
They weren't just making a pretty object. They were building a fully functional vessel. And all the fluid dynamics, all the usability of a high-end hookah had to be built right into the art. It's engineering disguised as art.
The ultimate fusion. And once Buck laid that groundwork, Adam G. just took the stage and turned the surface into this dazzling display.
Which brings us right to the ornamentation. Now that the foundation is built, let's talk about the incredible precision that took it from sculpture to, well, jewelry. This is where Sweater Kingpin really puts his stamp on it. The detail here is just staggering. Our notes say he integrated more than 30 facets across the whole piece.
Over 30.
Turning this heavy structural glass into this, multi-dimensional canvas.
And that's where all that cold work really pays off. The goal, as the documentation says, was to treat these facets like gems in jewelry rather than components.
What's the difference there?
Well, a component is functional. A gem is purely designed to catch and refract light. Every single cut, every angle was calculated for this maximal dazzling effect. It's like a complex optical illusion built right onto the surface.
You can see that even in the photos. If you look at the lion's face specifically, there are 9 perfectly aligned facets that form its expression.
Yeah.
It gives it this constantly shifting look,
It creates an almost kinetic energy.
Yeah. And the ornamentation continues into the royal regalia. The crown and the mane have 12 fumed jewels.
Mm-hmm. And the artists used silver and gold ruby for that fuming, which is a process of vaporizing precious metals onto the glass to get these deep, rich, iridescent colors. It gives the jewels a real depth, not just a surface shine.
And then the focal point becomes the chest, right? The very center.
Correct. The lion's chest has 5 brilliant diamond-cut jewels, and they all draw your eye toward this one single, larger focal stone right in the middle. It's this concentration of brilliance that just anchors the whole design.
So given the huge scale of this thing and all these different elements, the mane, the crown, the jewels, the facets, wasn't there a risk it could have felt cluttered or just too busy?
That's a great question, and I think that's the core of the 3-year planning. The coherence comes from designing the whole package from the start. The faceting, the fuming, the sculpting, they were never separate ideas. They were all part of the same story. Adam G's precision just perfectly complements Buck's structural integrity. The visual flow is seamless.
So your eye travels smoothly across the whole piece.
Exactly. And that synergy, that's the real artistic triumph.
Form and function demanding the same level of attention.
Yeah.
Okay, but we have to move past the exterior and get into the technical engine inside. Let's talk about the internal mechanics.
All right, this is where we shift from high art to high engineering because the lion has to work flawlessly. And the docs say the chest contains the most critical element, a removable functional section.
A removable section. Why is that such a big deal? I mean, besides making it easier to clean.
Well, cleaning is part of it, for sure, but it's a massive technical headache. For a piece this valuable and this large, you need to be able to maintain it. But making a removable glass section means engineering a perfectly ground joint that is both load-bearing.
Right, it has to support the weight.
It has to support the weight of the structure and the hoses, and crucially, it has to be gas-tight. You need a perfect seal for it to function as a hookah. Achieving that with just ground glass on this scale is a phenomenal achievement.
So the chest joint is the foundation. What's the engine inside?
The heart of the function is a suspended gold ruby diamond percolator.
Okay.
And this whole filtration system sits inside a beaker-style assembly inside the lion's chest. The gold ruby glass connects it aesthetically to the crown, but its job is pure performance.
So if you break that down for us, what does a percolator like that actually achieve in a functional piece?
It's essentially a highly efficient internal filter. The notes say it was tuned for smooth, balanced diffusion, which just means how the smoke is dispersed through the water. This percolator creates thousands of tiny bubbles. That maximizes the surface area contact with the water, which cools and filters everything, optimizing the experience. The function had to be as elegant as the sculpture.
But then you have the classic problem, the hoses. A normal hookah uses flexible tubes, which it would break the all-glass vision of this piece completely.
It would ruin it.
So how did they engineer around that?
This is where Buck Glass's structural genius really came in clutch. They engineered articulated glass hoses.
Articulated, like a robot arm.
Exactly like that. Imagine segmented but flexible arms made entirely of connected glass pieces. They allow for movement without sacrificing that material purity. The engineering ensures the entire piece is glass, from tip to base.
Yeah, and the detail goes all the way to the end, right?
It does. The hoses end in these hollow, faceted mouthpieces. Sweater Kingpin's signature touch. By engineering everything, the structure, the joints, the perc, the hoses out of glass, they solved all the classic handling issues while keeping the artistic vision pure. It's just a profound statement.
An incredible achievement. And it's that level of integrity that made its debut such a huge event. Let's move to that. The debut, its benchmark status, and the valuation that defined its legacy.
Yeah, this wasn't a quiet launch. The King of Kings was unveiled at a major event in the heady glass scene, the Up Heaterz show, Space Gallery, Denver, December 11, 2021.
And the reaction was immediate.
Instantaneous.
The sources confirmed the moment it was displayed, it was immediately treated by artists and collectors as a museum-grade functional. And that consensus wasn't just about it being beautiful. It was about them successfully pulling off 3 years of ambition.
They solved all the problems.
They solved the scale problem, the precision problem, and the functional articulation problem all at once. It refined the ceiling of what was possible in the medium. And when a piece resets the standard like that, the market responds. Which brings us to the price tag and the buzz it created online.
Oh, yeah. Reports were flying across community posts that weekend. A private sale, rumored to be near $250,000.
$250,000.
And that figure is so crucial. Our docs note there's no public auction record, which, is pretty standard for elite exclusive pieces like this. But the sheer size of the rumor, that serves as its own cultural marker.
So what does a rumored price like that tell us about the market for this kind of art back then?
It tells us 2 things. First, the community was willing to validate the 3 years of labor and risk that the artist took on. And second, it solidified functional glass's move from a niche craft into a recognized, highly valuable form of fine art collecting.
So the price wasn't just for the object.
No, it was for the benchmark it represented. It proved that this genre had achieved a level of mastery on par with traditional museum media.
That perfect merger Buck's large-scale engineering with Adam G's jewelry-grade precision, that's why it's still a legend. I mean, the photos, the videos, the reels, they kept that line in circulation long after the show, defining how far borosilicate could be pushed.
Both technically and culturally, yeah. It just set the gold standard.
So in the end,
the King of Kings is more than just a valuable object. It's a permanent record of the technical limits being pushed in glass art. It created a cultural shift by proving functionality, and museum-grade aesthetics are not, mutually exclusive. They can be the same thing.
And as we close out, there's that one last fascinating detail buried in the sources about the date.
The debut.
The debut. It was unveiled 4 years ago today, December 11th, 2021. And that fact alone just says how quickly a piece can become legendary when the ambition and the execution line up so perfectly.
It really is a historical moment in functional art.
We've seen how technical innovation, the articulated hoses, the suspended perc, the millimeter-perfect cold work, is what defines these benchmarks. It resets the bar, which leaves us with a provocative question for you to explore. Since the King of Kings defined its era through this incredible structural complexity, what specific, currently impossible engineering feat in glass, maybe something like a self-cleaning mechanism or a sophisticated kinetic function built right into the form, what will mark the next major cultural leap in functional art?
That's a good one.
That is something for you to mull over. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.